Just recapping Saturday's game, I thought it was a great way to end our season, or end our home regular season and senior day. A lot of good as you watch the film from all three phases. And, offensively, 448 yards is tremendous. And I think we had 230 yards rushing. And that's a lot of positive. There's a lot of positive as you watch the film. What we got to do is be better at hurting ourselves. Like, as you look at, I think we had 5 drives in the first half that did not end in touchdowns. And as you look, 3 of those 5 had some type of penalty, holding penalty, hands to the face penalty, which could put us in third and extra long situations. And one of those, I think we had a minus 10-yard run on second down. And so no offense, Notre Dame's offense isn't going to be great when you put yourself behind the stick. So we got to eliminate those mistakes that are really slowing us down from moving the chains. Defensively, played lights out pretty much all night. There was one drive that they scored on in the second half where, as you look at that drive defensively, we had a defensive holding penalty. They had the long pass, which may or may not have been complete. And then we actually had an MA on the touchdown, right? We had one of our guys that should have been in a different position. So, that's the areas that we got to improve, right? We chase perfection, and we got to improve there. And then special teams, I thought it was the best day we've had punting to date. I think our guys did a great job covering those punts that James punted. We got to do a better job in our field goal unit. I know the one before half we knew was a little bit of a stretch, but we got to make the makeable field goals, and missing one from 42 yards is unacceptable. So we have to address that. We got to get it fixed immediately. Players of the game on offense was Jeremiah Love, defense Xavier Watts, and special teams James Rendell. Scout players of the week were on offense Anthony Rizak, defense Devin Houston, and special teams Mick Brown. A couple injury updates. Howard Cross will still be questionable for this game. We'll see how he progresses as we move forward this week. And then Devin Ford is trending in the right direction, but I think he's still questionable for this game. And so turning the page, obviously, to Army. I told the coaching staff I think it's going to be, I believe it's our toughest challenge to date. They're a really good football program, 9-0. Right, and on a 13-game winning streak, which is number 1 in FBS. All 9 of their wins this season coming by double digits, and they're one of 3 undefeated teams in FBS. So we understand the challenge they present. It's year 11 for Coach Monken, and so what you see is a lot of consistency in their program. They play clean. They don't hurt themselves. They're a physical, tough bunch. I think they're averaging around 35 points on offense and only 10 on defense, giving up 10 on defense. And so they do a great job in time of possession, and they're, I think, top 2 in the country in turnover margin. So our guys will understand the challenge. Looking forward to the opportunity to play in the Yankee Stadium in our Shamrock Series game versus a very good opponent. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Coach, 2 questions in one, personnel related, both transfers in this year. Jaden Harrison had a big game for you on offense, and Rod Hurd the second. What they've brought to the equation?
Yeah, those 2 guys have been great additions to our program. I think as you saw with Jaden Greathouse going down in the second quarter, gave Jaden Harrison a chance to stay on the field more, right? I know those guys rotate a lot, and he made some big plays. Obviously, the touchdown, then he had a touchdown called back, and then the long third down conversion. He's really playing at a high level. He did some really good things on punt. He stepped in for Devin Ford and really stood out on his punt coverage. And so he's brought obviously a lot of production in terms of what happened last game, but he's an energy provider. I'm glad to have him. Rod Hurd's been terrific. We can play him at a couple different positions, play him at safety, play him at nickel. When Leonard went down for a series, we moved Jordan out to corner and moved Rod into nickel. And he's a, multiple position guy that has brought maturity but also a skill set that we need to our defensive back room.
On your left front row, Tyler Horka.
Hey, Marcus, you mentioned needing to make the field goals. I'm curious where Mitch Jeter is at and maybe being able to help you guys with that.
Yeah, going into the after warm-ups, we thought his line was around the 42, meaning a 42-yarder was probably the line for this game. And we had him kick the extra points, and then, we didn't want to kick the 54-yarder with him because we thought that was a little bit out of his range right now. And so at halftime, we just made the decision up 28-0 to say, okay, let's rest him for the second half and get him ready, hopefully, for this week and extend that line a little bit longer to where he was earlier in the year. And so he's not full as he was to start the season, full go as he was to start the season, but he's going to be available to kick. We just got to continue to see where that line is for Mitch Jeter.
You mentioned Army being your biggest task to date. Sort of said the same thing about Navy way back when, so I'm curious, in preparing for a couple opponents who are similar, what are the differences that Army gives you?
Yeah. I met with the defensive staff, and the first thing we said is the biggest mistake we can make is think this is Navy 2.0. It's not. It's a different offense. They do some different things. They got a different identity and present a different challenge. Yes, it's still a version of the triple option, which you see with some of the military schools, but they run it with different personnel. But they're led to me by their O-line. They come off the ball. They're physical. They're bigger than what you usually see when you play academy schools. But it's going to be a great challenge on all three phases. They're aggressive in the special team. I think since 2020 they've blocked more kicks than anybody else in FBS. And so all three phases present some issues that we have to be prepared for.
On the right, third row, Tim O'Malley.
Coach, it's an operational question. You mentioned the long pass. Christian Gray got up from that long pass as the cover man, kind of gesturing that it wasn't caught. Now, I know people do that all the time on defense or offense, saying that they caught or didn't catch it. What's kind of your sidelines procedure for, hey, we got to review this quickly. Do we need a timeout?
Yeah, I asked the line judge that I was beside. I said, hey, I know what they called. Are you guys, is replay looking at it? And I was told, yeah, I was told they were looking at it. And I don't know if maybe they didn't get time to buzz down before the ball was snapped. Obviously, Virginia was going tempo, but they do a really good job of trying to help you not wasting timeouts. Their officials don't want us to waste timeouts. So when I'm told they're looking at replay, I don't want to waste a timeout if I think that's going to be confirmed.
What was the official ruling on the fake punt that was called back? Was it simply that Kaiser took a direct snap under center and that created a formation penalty?
Yeah, the ruling was it was not a kicking formation. So if it's not a kicking formation, you have to have 5 guys on a line between the numbers of 50 and 99. We going into the game, we believed that it was a kicking formation. Haven't heard back from the league yet, so we'll see what they say. But it is what it is.
On your left front row, Jack Sobel.
Marcus, specifically Bryson Daly, the Army quarterback, what challenges does he present this week?
Yeah, I think he is, a guy that has experience. I know he missed 2 games ago, I think 2 weeks ago, but he's back from injury, makes really good decisions, can run the ball if he needs to, but also can throw it if he needs to. But what he does is run the offense efficiently, doesn't put him in bad positions, and he does a great job of taking care of the football.
With the offensive line penalties, the holdings, the hands to the face, and then the negative play, what are some of the coaching points you have for the line coming out of this game?
You watch the film and you address it, and you go to practice and you work on those specific issues that showed up in the game, and hopefully don't repeat it.
On the right front row, Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to circle back to Army and their defense. Their rush defense is like 3rd in the country, and I wondered, when you're watching film of them, what are you seeing that makes them so good on defense, especially rush defense?
Yeah, I think one is personnel. They got some good D linemen. They do a good job. They do a good job of simulating some pressures where, you might be thinking a 5-man pressure's coming, a 6-man pressure's coming, and it ends up being 4 guys. And so they just do a good job of saying, we're not going to let you run the ball. You know, and we got a mindset that, hey, we still want to run the ball. We got to find ways to get hats on hats. But the other thing I think they do is they move, right? Is they're not stagnant. They're not your typical just 3 down and they don't move. They're able to move the front and be aggressive, change the leverage on you, which is a challenge. When you change the leverage on an offensive lineman post-snap, it creates some difficulties.
And I'm going to try to be within the protocol here, so I might get flagged for this. But I saw C.J. Carr was warming up. It's the first time we've seen him warm up. Can you update us on him? And then some of the guys that are long-term, like Jabron Payne, anybody with the possibility of surprising you and coming back early?
No, those guys will be out for the year. But you know, CJ's beginning his throwing progression in rehab, but that's about it.
Okay.
On your left, third row, Pete Byrne.
Hey, Marcus. I don't know if you.
Different seat.
Yeah, he's using the charger. I don't know if you look at game control at all in your analysis of how you guys are playing, but you guys have not trailed in the second half since week 2, and I think over that stretch there's only been one game where you guys were even within 7 points of your opponent within week 2. So I'm curious. Do you look at that, and does that give you an indication of the overall quality of play you guys have right now?
No, I don't know if I knew that stat. I think more than anything, starting the Purdue week, right, was that emphasis of how do we handle success, right? And it happened to present itself during the Purdue week when we were up going into half, and I think our guys are believing in that, committing to it. Is when you say how do you handle success, it isn't like, okay, sometimes you say you got to start fast, you got to finish fast, you got to come out of the locker room fast, but it's like, is this play the most important play of the game? And that's a mindset. Like, don't worry about the score. I don't care what the score is. You could be up, you could be down, it doesn't matter. This play is the most important play of the game. And that takes effort and focus to do, right? It's not natural. It's natural to let up. It's natural to say, okay, here's a score. It's not that serious. This play doesn't matter. But the guys on the field have to have a conviction that this play is so important to get the outcome that we want in the game. And if we can continue to have that mindset, we're going to be really successful. But that hopefully is a reflection of no matter who's in the game, at what point in the game, they have a conviction that this play is the most important play in the game.
Building off that statistic, because you haven't trailed in the second half in so long, are there things that you can do in practice to put stress under them that they haven't been in on Saturdays, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think if you have to coach in a way that is not outcome driven, right? Is that the result of the play, the result of the period has nothing to do with did you get your job done on this play? And that's how, to me, you simulate that. I don't care if we completed a 40-yard pass. Did you, as the right guard, get your job done with the perfect technique? If you didn't, there's going to be pressure put on you to make sure we get it corrected. That's how you simulate that. You don't look at the outcome of practice. You don't look at the outcome of a drill or the outcome of a play, but you evaluate every single play to the standard that we've set. And I think if we can continue to do that, you'll see, like, it isn't chasing an outcome. It isn't chasing a score. It's chasing perfection on this play. This play is all that matters. And so that's, to me, how you simulate that in practice, right? You simulate that by coaching every single play like it's the most important play, because it is. And if you do that as a coach, your players will feel how important it is.
On the right front row, Pete Sampson.
I think this falls into start fast, finish strong, all those things. But middle eight is another thing. You guys have been really good there. You give us a sense of why that may be.
You know, I think we emphasize 2-minute offense and defense every week. When we go good on good with different situations. Every single week, it could be an end of a half, end of a game situation, but every week our guys know we're going to get a good on good period that we have to execute. And it goes back and forth. Does the offense win this week or the defense wins? But it's understanding how important that is as you going into the half. And then coming out of half, it's a mindset. Coming out, no matter if you're on offense, defense, kickoff, or kickoff return, of attack mindset. Right? We got to continue to have that attack mindset. And then you got to win that play. Right? But it's we do emphasize those things. We do emphasize how we finish a half by doing 2-minute offense versus 2-minute defense. And then we emphasize starting fast. We have a break every day in practice where you can go and take a second, spend a minute or so with your coaches, and then you got to reload. You know, I give them a break. I try to make it at the halfway through practice. We started that when it was really hot, all right, and where our trainer, Rob Hunt, would mandate, hey, we have to have a break or 2 breaks here. But I continue that throughout the year because I think it's a great way to simulate a game. Hey, take a quick break. It can simulate the end of a series or an end of a half. That horn blows, reload, refocus, and let's go.
On the fake punt, I think Saturday you said you showed it to officials in preseason. Did I hear that correctly?
Coach Biaggi addressed that play with some officials, preseason.
In the sort of flow of weeks, would you bring that up to officials pregame or in a meeting with officials? Say like, hey, we're going to do this, or we might do this. Here's what it looks like. Could you just like give us a green check on it?
Yeah. Again, we've had this ready to go for about 4 weeks, but you know, it was something I didn't. You tend not to show clips to officials in the locker room. That's not something that is highly encouraged. So, you know, more than anything, you got to explain it, which I, explained it to them. Hey, we have a fake punt that we're going to come out of huddle quickly and, snap it. I just want you to know that our guys have to be set. We know all the rules, and we run it. And so I don't want to make a bigger deal than what it is, I'm dang proud of the way our guys executed. I know it didn't count for 7 points, but we're going to celebrate that fake punt. I can't wait to show them because there's been a lot of work put into that. We obviously had it ready. You guys might not know this, but we had it ready for the bowl game. Didn't get a chance to run it, and we brought it back out after Georgia Tech. And for weeks, when you practice something for weeks, the players are dying to run it. Just the opportunity didn't happen. It did this game, and they executed it flawlessly.
Up the middle, third row, Sean Stiers.
Hey, Marcus, I don't think we touched on this last week. You did have guys who were recognized before the game who do have remaining eligibility. Have you had those fifth year, like those kind of conversations at this point?
With a couple of them. We've had it with a couple of them. There's certain guys that will have decisions to make after the season. And then, as I've told them, make your decision after the season.
And then there's sort of been, especially the last couple of weeks, it seems like etiquette talk in terms of, how you handle the fourth quarter when games are lopsided, whether it's you with the big lead or like the other night, when the other team calls a timeout late in the game. So what is just sort of your general philosophy approach to how to handle all that?
I never want to embarrass anybody. If you're an opportunity to if I feel like we're an opportunity to embarrass somebody, I never want to do that. I got a lot of respect for the other coaches in this game, but also, want to get work for whoever's in the game, right? And if these guys are in the game, I want to get work for them. If a guy that doesn't play a lot is in the game, let's give them opportunity to have success. We don't have to run the ball every play. If we need to throw the ball. It's the same thing with our defense. I'm not mad at Coach for calling a timeout. You know what I mean? Don't disrespect our guys by taking it easy on them, right? Like, the greatest respect you can do is give it everything you got as an opponent, right? And that's okay. It's great teaching. I can't wait to watch those 10 plays with the guys that don't get a lot of opportunities to play a meaningful, game-like plays. And so I have no problem with them calling a timeout, and it's a great opportunity for us to teach from those plays that happened during that series.
Right in front of him, Mike Berardino.
All right, Marcus. What about the talent level of Army in general, just Army specifically, because you saw it in 2020 with a college football playoff team with Cincinnati. That was a heck of a game for a while to the fourth quarter. What can you say about how it's risen in recent years? And maybe are there any guys in the last couple of Army years that you also recruited, either Cincinnati or here?
On Army's team? I have no clue. No, not that I know of. You get so bogged down with numbers. I very rarely look at names, so there might be somebody I recruited. I don't know. I haven't looked at the roster
Just the
in terms of,
talent, the talent
but
players.
yeah. I think I see it from a different lens right now, obviously, as a head coach than I did as a defensive coordinator. But I believe this team is better, much better than the team we faced in 2020, right? This Army team. I mean, this is a good, really good football team that every statistic shows you why. And, if we had a combine, would they be as fast maybe or as tall and athletic and run the drills as good as maybe some of the other teams you face? Maybe not, but that has nothing to do with how good of a football team this team is. I mean, they are a dang good football team. They play hard. They take care of the football. They keep the ball away from you. They take the ball from you. It's a challenge, man. It's a really big challenge for us.
And then, we've seen multiple special teams fakes that have worked already this year. And like at Georgia Tech, actually, do you ever want to hold something back when something's being praised as,
Nope.
one of the most creative plays we've seen on the air, Jason Garrett, I guess. How deep is this trove of fakes that in the Marty Biaggi bag? And does the whole staff in the offseason just kind of feed into it? What's the process of deepening your fake repertoire?
Yeah, Marty's a creative mind. Sometimes I got to reel him back and say, oh, hold on, Marty, we can't do that. But when Marty has conviction on something and is able to make me have conviction, let's do it. And just like he has been with these last couple fakes. And so I don't ever want to be a program that holds back, like all in, every play, every game. And it's a great challenge because guess what? Now we got to come up with another one, right? We got to come up with another fake. But I want our players to have that mindset, man. Like, if I told our players, like, hey, this is a great fake, we're going to hold it for the last game of the year. We're going to hold it for if we make the playoffs. Like, what I expect them to do as we get ready to play this game. Like, this is the Super Bowl. This is Super Bowl. This week versus Army, Yankee Stadium is the Super Bowl. And so if that means we got to come up with a new fake, then we will come up with a new fake. But I don't ever, ever, ever want to hold something back. That's a great challenge. And guess what? We got to come up with something better. And we have the coaches and the players to do that.
In the back by the camera is Levon Whitaker.
Coach, I was curious about Riley Leonard. Obviously, 400-plus yards of offense, but wasn't as aggressive running the ball as he was successful passing it. Was that by design or just what he saw?
No, it's all decision-making. Again, Riley wasn't put in great situations in some of those third down to have success. I love it that he did keep his eyes down the field. That's been something we've been talking about. Riley always knows he can escape and run, but I'm really proud of the way he kept his eyes downfield to make some plays as he escaped the pocket and throw the ball. Made some really good decisions that way. We know that he can run. We're going to continue to encourage him to keep his eyes downfield because when defenses know you can run, knows that you can run, guess what? The minute you start scrambling, those guys usually tend to come up, and there's somebody open down the field. So if we can utilize them both, we will.
And you talked about it in practice, dissecting each play. When you see something that maybe wasn't performed to perfection or how you would like it, how do you, I guess, address it in the moment versus maybe when you get back into the office and reviewing film?
Yeah, I mean, if I can give you immediate feedback, I'm going to give you immediate feedback. I'll often tell the coaches and the players, it's just like driving a car, right? And when you're driving, you see a radar, right, or speedometer, one of those police radars that shows you how fast you're going, right? And the minute you see that you're going way above the speed limit, the natural reaction is slow down, and that's what I tell coaches. That's immediate feedback. Like that's what we got to do. If you see something, say something. Don't wait. Now, there's things that you got to see on film that you didn't see right there in the moment, and those are things that you'll correct when you have meetings. But I believe in immediate feedback, and then guess what? We'll double down on that when we go watch it on film. But if I can correct you in the moment, that's something that we're definitely going to do. That's why I often talk to linebackers that we recruit and say, man, you got 2, maybe 3 sets of eyes on you. right? Because I naturally tend to go to the linebackers during individual drills. And I naturally tend to watch them a lot of times in the defensive drills because that's what I coach and that's what I played. And so I tell recruits, like, you're getting immediate feedback. You got 2, sometimes 3 sets of eyes on you at all times. And I can't say that about every position, but that's all part of how important I believe it is to make sure you can correct them in the moment when you can, and not mess up the flow of practice. Like, I know Golden sometimes, or Coach Denbrock might say, come on, Coach, let us keep going. We got to get these reps in. But I understand that, and I'm very aware of that. But when you can give a player immediate feedback, I think it helps them improve tremendously.
On your right, second row, Jackson Neal.
Mark, there's a ton of history with this game, 100 years since the first national title for Notre Dame, the Four Horsemen, all that. What does it kind of mean to you to play in a historical kind of game like this?
Oh, it's an honor. I remember when Jack Swarbrick, told me that this was going to be our Shamrock Series game for this year. The first thought was Navy and Army in the same year. Come on, Jack. And then he told me why. And Jack was such an innovative mind. He never wanted to have a Shamrock Series game just to have it, but he said, what better Shamrock Series opportunity to have a game in New York City versus Army 100 years later after the Four Horsemen were named. And I think it's a great opportunity. Just doing my history, my research on who the Four Horsemen were. I know one of them's from Massillon, which is a shout out to my wife. She's a Massillon Tiger, and I know 2 of them for Ohio. So, there's a little bit of connection there with the Four Horsemen. But it's an amazing opportunity to play a great program that has a lot of history, and is a top 25 program. That's going to be a great challenge on Saturday night.
And then these next 2 weeks, a game in New York City, a game in Los Angeles, going cross country. Is there anything special you guys are doing to kind of prepare for that kind of travel?
Yeah, we've known, this kind of timeline for quite a while. So you got to make certain accommodations when you get back at 3 or 4 in the morning. So, made some changes in the schedule for Sunday. There's their day off, but Monday, what we're going to do on Monday, post Army. And then it's a unique week, USC week, because it's Thanksgiving break. And so Tuesday will be a Tuesday, but we kind of made some modifications in terms of sleep and things like that for Wednesday through Saturday. And so this has been in the plans for a while. We got a great sports performance team that we meet every week, but have really thought about this for quite a while.
That's all the time we have. Thanks very much, Coach.
All right. Thank you. Good to see you guys, you all.